Hi, I'm Andre. Welcome back to Metapunk Zero. So in this episode of the Psychosis Diaries, I'm going to briefly introduce a video that I recorded for the Basic Income Guarantee Forum, or the BIG Forum, that was held at the University of Ottawa in May of 2024, which was just recently actually at the time of this recording. I recorded that because I was a member or like a recipient of the Basic Income Pilot that was held in Lindsay, Ontario, and Hamilton and a few other places, Thunder Bay, I believe, between 2017 and 2019. It really, in 2018 is really when it actually took place, but there was a lot of lead up and everything else. But I just wanted to talk about that because, of course, the issue of income security is very important and relevant to the topic of psychosis and mental health, because there's a direct relationship between your level of income security and your mental health. If you're stressed about money, your mental health is going to suffer, and if your mental health is suffering, your income will suffer. And that's pretty well documented. It's certainly true in my case, and in the case of almost anybody I know who has any severe mental health issues or any severe income problems. The two of these two things go together, and like so do trauma and abuse and all kinds of other things that go along with that. Not to say that everybody who is poor is abused or anything like that, but basically the bigger your problems, the more problems you have, and that includes income, right? And so it stands to reason that that if we can find stable income for people, then if we can help them out in that regard, then it's gonna improve the quality of life that they have and their ability to recover from mental health crises and everything else. So anyway, that's what the video is about. I just wanted to introduce this briefly because I kind of, in the video, I actually get right into it. So I'm gonna just splice to that right now, and please enjoy. I hope you get something out of it. So I have a lot more to say there. So thank you. We'll see you later. Hello, I'm Andre Canavet, and this is an open letter about my experience with basic income and ODSP. Before I begin, I want to express my gratitude to everyone at the Big Forum for this opportunity to contribute to the discussion. Thank you. I'm just going to read this. It's kind of the best I can do at this time, but please bear with me. Thank you. In 2003, I suffered a severe depression and psychosis that forced me to stop working and leave university before graduating. Unsure I'd ever work again, in 2006, my doctor helped me get on the Ontario Disability Support Program, ODSP. Eventually, I began to recover. By 2014, I was well enough to volunteer and work part-time. I wanted to get back on my feet, and while ODSP provided some help, it hindered my efforts to regain independence. I wasn't well enough to leave ODSP entirely, but ODSP limits how much a client may earn before losing benefits. This artificial cap defeated the purpose of working. I could never save enough to improve my situation. I struggled in this poverty trap for 12 years. This changed when I joined the Basic Income Pilot program in Lindsay, Ontario. With fewer restrictions and benefits that tracked better with the cost of living, the pilot allowed me to immediately improve my situation. I transitioned into much better housing, left a toxic workplace without fearing the loss of income, got my driver's license, and began moving my life forward. Even when the pilot was prematurely cancelled, with the time left, I was able to retrain for a career as a lighting tech in Toronto's film and television industry. I cannot overstate the damage Doug Ford did when his party broke their election promise not to interfere with the basic income pilot. While I'd retrained, the pilot ended before I could start film work. I lurched for months with no income, eventually temping in a car parts factory while I waited for my first film call in May 2019. This was still preferable to trying to get back on ODSP, enduring a new round of worthiness tests, and trapping myself in poverty once again. But if the basic income pilot had been allowed to run to completion, I'd have had a solid financial foundation to build my new career, which might have carried me through the troubles which were to come. At first, the film job went well. I was able to finance my first car, making my commute much easier. It felt really good to be earning a real income and be a contributing member of society. Strange as it sounds, it felt good to be paying taxes. In a little over a year, the basic income pilot had freed me and set me on a path to a rewarding career, something I dared not hope for in over a decade on ODSP. Sadly, things didn't go my way for long. Film is a demanding job, and I knew it would take time to settle in and build seniority. This seemed manageable until early 2020, when COVID-19 shut everything down. Film was able to resume work within a few months, so I thought I'd be all right. But then a threatened strike in 2021 and 2 full strikes in 2022 through 2023 repeatedly shut the industry down. This left me with little income security. I'd been assured that film work could weather any storm, but this proved not to be true in my case. I looked for other work, but the best I could find was a minimum wage job collecting baggage carts at the airport in 2023, in January. By this point, I was physically, emotionally, and financially exhausted. Soon after starting the airport job, I was again grappling with severe depression and psychosis. I was hospitalized 3 times in 2023 before I was able to successfully reapply to ODSP. This proved to be a nightmare as my file got caught between the offices of ODSP and Ontario Works and left me with reduced benefits for many months. Overall, ODSP simply doesn't provide enough money to cover basic and reasonable living expenses, and they still reduce benefits when you do manage to find work, making it hard to make any headway. Now I'm back in the cycle of poverty, job hunting before it's medically safe to work, just to afford to live. I'm not well enough to return to film. So once more, ODSP is a trap, and I dearly miss the basic income pilot. But I can't help wonder how ODSP justifies spending so much time and money denying people benefits when those very resources could go directly to clients and provide a proper cost of living amount. An unconditional basic income wouldn't have this wasted overhead, nor could clients get lost in the bureaucratic cracks of parallel services like I did last year. The whole experience leaves me with a few takeaways. The first is that income insecurity makes everything worse. There's a compounding feedback loop between financial stress and just about any personal or social problem we can name. Physical and mental illness, relationship conflicts, career setbacks, and economic events like COVID are all magnified when we lack sufficient and reliable finances. And any of those problems can impact our financial security in turn. How can anybody with any modest challenges build a healthy and productive life when the economy has no bottom floor? The second takeaway from situations like mine is that when people are well supported with stable financial foundation, they flourish and quickly take the opportunity to better themselves and benefit others. On a robust basic income, people like me become far less dependent on the system, while politically hobbled programs like ODSP and OW keep people stuck, wasting their lives in dependence, poverty, and infirmity for indefinite periods of time. The basic income pilot would have freed me completely if not for the bad luck of COVID and 3 industry strikes within 4 short years. I'd be thriving as a film tech, my mental health wouldn't have suffered, and I'd have never had to rely on ODSP ever again. It's also worth noting that my 3 hospital stays in 2023 likely cost the healthcare system upwards of $30,000 or $40,000. If I'd had a basic income supporting me through the strikes, I could have lived in good health for 2 years or more on the same amount of money, certainly enough time to secure alternative employment. A third thing to consider is the worsening mental health crisis. Nearly a decade ago, well before COVID, the World Health Organization named depression the leading and growing cause of workplace disability worldwide. People are increasingly overwhelmed by the stresses of rat race life and an economic system that doesn't seem to work for most of us anymore, and certainly doesn't care about human concerns. Even the WHO's metrics are primarily framed in terms of lost productivity as opposed to human cost. As increasing numbers of people succumb to the burnout caused by an uncaring system, people will only get more desperate, make worse decisions, and fall further behind in their lives and their mental and physical health. This isn't just a personal issue, this is everyone's problem. Arguably, much of the political conflict we're seeing at home and abroad right now is a symptom of the income insecurity middle and low income people have been facing for decades. Financially stressed people are more reactive, leading to more stress and division until society threatens to tear itself apart. Basic income would go a long way to stabilizing this volatile situation and stabilizing people's lives overall. It's also logical to wonder what beneficial effects it might have on other social indicators, like divorce rates or crime, for example. And it's reasonable to consider how much money would be saved in healthcare, policing, and social services that vainly struggle to cope with the after effects of financial stress. Fourth, and finally, there is also emerging technology to consider. Improvements in automation have long been a source of unemployment, but now we're on the verge of an AI revolution that will radically transform every aspect of life and work in the digital age. No industry will be left unchanged. Everything from self-driving vehicles to app tools like ChatGPT and Midjourney will compete with human labor and creativity. In a handful of years, we could be facing unemployment shortages on a scale not seen since the Great Depression, if ever before. This upheaval is already underway. 2 of the 3 film industry strikes that tanked my fledgling career were largely about AI tools potentially replacing human writers, artists, and actors. Those strikes needed to happen, in my opinion, even if they cost me my job, but it's also worth noting that automated applicant tracking software may have been a significant barrier in finding other work. Like it or not, AI and related tools are here, and they are already making it harder to secure reliable income. Considering how much money Canadian governments can find to subsidize large companies during big shifts in the economy, they should be able to find it for citizens as well. For a rising tide to truly lift all boats, water must flow back into the ocean. Just as AI will transform the economy, a basic income guarantee would get ahead of this change and have equally transformative beneficial effect. Once again, when people are properly supported, they find their independence and rise to create beneficial outcomes for themselves and everyone around them. Yet I often wonder how much human ingenuity is wasted because politics get in the way. How many would-be doctors, artists, athletes, hard workers, leaders, and visionaries have we lost over the ages to poverty and poverty-related stresses? I've always had big dreams of being a creative professional with a business of my own. If not for the vicious cycle of financial stresses and mental illness, I'd have founded a fruitful career, contributed to the culture, paid into society in much greater spending and taxes, and I'd have created jobs for other people. If families like mine had been adequately supported at the outset, I wouldn't have been, nor would I feel, like such a burden to society. I know a lot of people can relate to this. The closest I ever came to establishing myself and gaining solid ground in this life occurred because I was lucky enough to be on the basic income pilot. It turned my life around practically overnight, so I know it works, even if the bad luck of external events robbed me of those gains later on. Something that gets lost in all the rhetoric around the idea of government support, especially for people with disabilities or severe difficulties, is that absolutely no one wants to feel useless. Laziness is a myth. Everyone wants, maybe more than anything, to feel like they're contributing and making a positive difference in the world. I know I do. I think, in fact, this might be the central pillar of living a meaningful, healthy, and worthwhile life. When people lack stability, they suffer and can't contribute their full potential to the world, and so the world gets worse. But give them a stable platform from which to launch, and they'll soar to the moon and beyond just for the thrill of being alive. A basic income guarantee would be that platform. I know it was for me. Thank you.